Hello and welcome to Web Relates. Today we're looking at the Malicious Compliance subreddit. Our first story is by 6cheddar6. Want me to take all my stuff and leave? No problem. This was a couple months ago back in May. I had been living in an apartment with 3 other roommates, so 4 of us total, for about 8 months. We are all women in our 20s. I barely interacted with my other roommates at all. Just between our jobs and classes we never saw each other. We all had our own rooms as well. For some context, on May 5th, my fiancé and I were planning to move into a new apartment together, so by the evening of the 4th, I had just about all of my belongings packed up. More on that later. Though I barely interacted with my roommates, I felt like we coexisted well, and we never fought or argued about anything, except for some very minor instances with Vicky and Cara. Those two were friends, and Vicky was definitely the messiest of the 4 of us living there. She would leave her clothes in the dryer for days, pile dishes in the sink for more than a week before cleaning them, and often forget food in the fridge until it would rot. Maybe 5 times throughout my time living there, I would get a text in our group chat from Cara saying something like, "Hey OP, I talked to the others and they said the dishes in the sink aren't theirs, so please clean them." This was annoying, but it happened infrequently enough it wasn't awful. And I figured Vicky lied to Cara about messes since it was just easier to throw me under the bus rather than to own up to it herself. On the evening of May 4th, so the night before I was planning to move out, Cara sent me a very long and scathing text to our group chat. She went on and on about how she is tired of my messes, hates all my stuff strewn about the apartment, and also personally attacked me, calling me disgusting and inconsiderate. Since I was leaving literally the next day, I didn't see any reason to start a fight, so I just said it was her lucky day and I was actually moving out the next morning. She replied, "Whatever you say, just take all your stuff and leave." Now the malicious compliance. As I had mentioned earlier, I had packed most of my belongings already, but technically not everything. The 4 of us all moved into the apartment at about the same date, but I moved in a few days earlier than the others. This means I had bought a lot of the communal items myself. I was planning to leave these out of kindness, despite them being worth about $400. However, once I got that text from Cara, I decided I would in fact take all of my stuff and leave. These communal items included all trash cans in the whole apartment, $100, the Wi-Fi router, $150, a large metal shelving rack, probably the one that hurt the most, $150. The shelving rack was likely the most devastating loss for them, since they had tons of stuff. For reference, the kitchen had 10 cupboards and 8 drawers, of which I used 2 cupboards and 1 drawer to store my items. The cupboards I used were also the ones above the microwave and the fridge, since I am the tallest and wanted to be considerate. All the rest of the cupboards, drawers, and the entire metal rack, which had 5 large shelves, were filled to the brim with my roommate's stuff. Essentially, there was absolutely no way they'd be able to fit in the amount of space I left behind without buying another rack or putting it on the counter and floor. I was careful to keep all their stuff from the rack organized and neat when I removed it, and everything from the rack completely covered the counters, kitchen table, and coffee table in the living room. I moved out peacefully with all my belongings the next day, and have been happy in my new apartment with my fiancé. A few days after moving out, Vicky texted in the group chat that, FYI, the Wi-Fi isn't working anymore. I wonder why. And at that point, I left the chat. I've wondered how long it took Cara to realize that it actually was never me that was making messes in the apartment. But I guess I'll never know. Really wish I'd seen OP throw Vicky under the bus. Our next story is by Milled Oats. Complain to everyone about your work if you must, but you're done working here equals 10 years' wages. So every morning I walk my dog at the off-lead dog park. As it's a small town, all the dog walkers have become friendly. I, mid-40s, made friends with June, 75 to 80. June told me this lovely MC story from about 25 years or more ago. June was working as a school teacher and was retraining as a social worker. She left teaching for 2 years working as a social worker when her previous school asked her to run a class for at-risk children. The deal was she would teach children aged 12 to 18, grade 7 to 12, who come from backgrounds of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. The job was casual, so she didn't get paid for holidays, sick leave, etc. She was supposed to teach 6 kids with an aide, but ended up with 20 kids and no teacher's aide. As you can imagine, their behavior was terrible. She believed she could help, and she said she'd make some real differences. The work was really stressful, but she was passionate about it. After 3 years and multiple promises of making her a permanent staff member, getting an aide plus smaller classes, June was burnt out. She demanded help from the principal, who refused, and told her since she has complained, it's for the last time, and sacked her. He told her she's casual, and she can go complain to everyone and everywhere, but as a casual worker, you have little rights. So June did complain to everyone. School inspector, the union, Department of Education. It was a state school. And even her local member of parliament, who told her she has had a tough deal, but this is the life of a casual worker. She finally complained to the state authority that deals with safe work practices. They were interested as the school has breached state policy on class sizes for special needs kids, teacher aides, providing a safe environment, etc. They ordered the Department of Education to pay her workers' compensation while they sorted it out. So now June was paid each fortnight, including leave and all benefits. 52 weeks a year instead of 40. The fallout was big after the investigation. Lots of people sacked or moved on. What this did was leave June without a boss. The Safe Work Practice Department closes the case, as they believe it was now a Department of Education matter to pay June out. Everyone has forgotten about June, and she got lost in government paperwork. They still paid her, and she kept quiet. It took 10 years before they found her in an employee audit. Then they paid her out. June was ready to retire about then, so it worked out beautifully. Our next story is by Mr. Chameleon Deck. Okay, I'll do it your way. Back in the 2000s, I worked in a bank, and for 2 of those years, I was the head teller. As the head teller, I also had to keep up with the cash in the vault. Now, it is never a good look for a bank to run low on money, but it happens. With that being said, I would try to order so that I didn't have too much, but enough on hand to keep us from panicking. Now, onto the story. There was a system that would tell me at the end of the week how much money I should order and or ship out. I will be honest with you, I went with my gut on this because 1, I knew my house, and 2, I paid attention to what kind of week it was going to be, i.e. holiday weekend, heavy payday, etc. So my bosses came to tell me that I was ordering too much and ignoring what the system said. My response? You can also see that I'm using whatever I'm ordering. I'm not just hoarding. So I was told, just do what the system says. Okay, bet. I gave my team the heads up. The next few weeks are going to suck. They're telling me that I'm ordering too much, so I'm going to do exactly what they told me to do. You can direct all of the bullcrap to me. If people get mad, don't worry about it. I'll take the heat. So for 3 weeks, I did exactly as I was told. And what I thought was going to happen, did. It got to the point where we're cashing large checks in $20, and barely able to do that. Apparently, the complaints started going uphill because the following conversation happened. Bosses say, "We're getting complaints about the branch not having enough big bills." I said, "I figured that would happen." "We want to know why." I'm doing exactly what I was told. Whatever the system is telling me to do, I'm doing. But you all already knew that. "This can't keep happening." It wasn't happening when I was ordering the way I needed to. So now you have a choice to make. "Do what you need to do for now, until we figure this out." Okay. I was pretty much left alone after that. As a side note, I actually reached out to that specific department to ask about a workaround so that I wouldn't have to keep having this conversation. The solution they gave was so simple, and I never had that issue again. Dang it, OP left us hanging. I want to know what the solution is. Our last story is by Looks Like Treble. Okay, fine. You can have Cheez-Its. Call me a bad parent if you must, lol. I thought it was funny. My daughter was throwing a tantrum last night that she wanted Cheez-Its for dinner, and not her actual dinner. She's 9, far too old to be throwing a tantrum over this. After trying to reason with her and it going nowhere, I finally said, "Fine, you can have Cheez-Its, but they have to be the buffalo wing Cheez-Its, which is some new limited time flavor my husband wanted to try, in addition to what we usually get." Her eyes got all wide and she said, "But that's too spicy." She's a trooper though, and she gave it a shot, but very quickly realized she wasn't going to win after 1 or 2 of them. I gave her the choice of more buffalo Cheez-Its or her actual dinner. She chose her actual dinner, of her own volition. I always want to try that kind of malicious compliance with kids, but I always feel bad and I never follow through on it. Okay, everyone, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed everything, please like, comment, and subscribe, and then I will see you guys in the next video. Cheers and have a good weekend.